today. I want to make sure that we give everybody some time to get settled, get comfy, and prepare to listen to someone that I have met. That I met a couple of years ago in the professional world of Alzheimer's, dementia, and caregiving, and I have fully just immersed myself in the work that he's doing. And I hope you all find the work that he'll share with us today and his perspectives on aging, clinical research, really important too. So, again, as we begin to close out such an amazing day, it's my honor to introduce to you all our keynote speaker, a visionary leader whose work is transforming the way we think about aging, race, and community in America. Raymond A. Jetson is the founder of Aging While Black, a groundbreaking movement launched in 2023 to amplify voices, wisdom, and experience of Black elders, challenging outdated narratives and reimagining aging through the lens of culture, innovation, and belonging. His book, Aging While Black, A Radical Reimagining of Aging and Race in America, out now, continues this powerful work. Raymond's journey spans decades of public service and community leadership. He has served as a Louisiana state representative, a deputy secretary of Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, and the pastor of Star Hill Church for 23 years. He has been recognized as an AARP Purpose Prize winner and Next Avenue Influencer in Aging. His insights have been featured on USA Today, the New York Times, NBC Nightly News, and the Chronicle of Philanthropy. But beyond the accolades, Raymond Jetson is known for his deep humanity, for building bridges across generations and calling us all to imagine a future where every person at every age has value, has a voice, and purpose. Please join me in welcoming a trailblazer in leadership, innovation, and community transformation, Raymond A. Jetson.
Boy, Mia Chester, you have certainly set the table far too high for me. But thank you so much for just the gracious introduction. I am so thrilled to share with you. Mia talked about my vast experience in public life. I am in my 42nd year of public life, and Mia talked about the varying roles as well as the work around aging while Black since February of 2023. Throughout this journey of my public life, whether it was in the state legislature, whether it was in the Department of Health, whether it was uh, working with families impacted by disaster after Hurricane Katrina, or my years as pastor of the Star Hill Church, one of the things that has been consistent is my proximity to people and recognizing the significance of people aging. My father died at 55 of leukemia. I did not realize how young he was until I reached my 55th birthday. I am now the primary caregiver for my 92-year-old mom and my 35-year-old daughter who was born with developmental disabilities. And if I am around in February of next year, I will observe a milestone of my 70th birthday. I say all of that to say to you that Aging While Black is not a quaint title for an organization. It is my lived experience. And one of the things that is vitally important is how do the innovations, the advances in technology and in medicine and in treatment strategies, how do they intersect with the lived experience of aging Black people in this country? I believe that it is important that we start with an important grounding. And it is that so many of the medical interventions, so many of the treatment devices and technologies that are being utilized in healthcare today were done so without Black people generally and aging Black people specifically in mind. We have not been a part of the clinical trials. There have been structures and barriers that have excluded us or ignored our participation. And as a consequence, we are asked to be actively engaged and to place trust in a system which has designed pathways to well-being without us in mind. And so the challenge that we face is one of trust. And this challenge is not abstract. It is one that is deeply human. When I talk about this idea of trust, I'm not talking about a concept. I am speaking of people, of families who have learned to guard their hope because of persistent disappointment, because of persistent promises not being delivered upon, who carry the memories of these broken promises. Trust is not a policy issue, it's one of relationship. And relationships require presence, accountability, and care. And I have not seen an overabundance of trials and research and interventions that hold potential for Black lives that show up in a consistent, committed presence, who are willing to be held accountable for what they do and what they say, and who are willing to demonstrate care for people. For many aging Black people in this country, research feels distant. It is something that is being done to them, not with them. And this is something that has to be changed. This distance is not geography or proximity, though proximity is important. It is emotional, it is cultural, and it is historic. And I believe that for all of the extremely well-meaning people who are involved in GAP and those who are taking part in this really important and impressive webinar, these are three domains that are critical to consider: the emotional, the cultural, and the historic. For too many Black people, the word research summons memories of exploitation and invisibility. Participation has meant surrendering control rather than gaining benefit. And that is a transaction, that is an exchange that has to be changed. And if we are honest, and I certainly intend to be, what people have often experienced is extraction. Data is taken from their communities, from their lived experience, and at times, from their very bodies. Their stories that undergird this data is often unheard or ignored. And tragically, in many instances, after the data is extracted, it's not utilized to benefit their lives, their communities, their families. The communities and the people involved remain unchanged. The real urgency here is not about enrollment numbers. It's not about increasing the numbers of people who are active in our trials. It is a question of whose lives we decide are worth understanding, protecting, and healing. Because when we design our trials, when we undertake our research, when we do our community engagement, whether it is intended or not, we are making judgments about who is worth understanding, who's worth the investment of time, whose well-being is worth protecting, and whose condition is really worth healing. This is not about metrics. We can't reduce this critical aspect of this work to master. The question before us, painfully, is a moral one. Who will we decide to see? Whose suffering do we count? Whose well-being do we prioritize? Equity in research begins when we decide that every life is worthy of understanding, not because of its utility to science, but because of the inherent dignity of every human being. And I've heard comment, my dear friend Adrian D. Jones mentioned earlier about communities. And, we often talk of marginalized and vulnerable communities. It's important that when you hear these terms and when you think of these communities, we are describing people who live at the intersection of exclusion and devaluing, where health systems, economic, and social histories converge to produce neglect. And this is the intersection where many Black elders live every day. It's where transportation limits access to care, where income restricts participation, and where technology and trust remain out of reach. If we truly want to diversify research, we must first diversify proximity, who we know, where we go, and how we listen. Mia mentioned that I served as the pastor of Star Hill Church for 23 years. And near the end of my time there, we had grown to a congregation of more than 2,500 people with just a diverse body of people who are part of our family. And so we were attractive to a lot of people who wanted to gain information, share information, perform trials, recruit people, engage people. We established a policy that you could engage our people after your fourth visit. If you are not willing to come and sit and be among us for 4 times, then you could not recruit, do outreach, engage, or recruit people to participate. Because medical exploitation, neglect, and exclusion have shaped how many communities understand this word research. And rebuilding that trust begins by acknowledging that this mistrust is rational. It has been earned over generations. And so if we are seeking to build trust, it's not through measurement or messaging. It's through relationship and having a commitment to measurable justice. It's connecting with people who already have connections. People like C. Nathaniel Brown, who has built an amazing work that's in proximity to people and is building relationships with caregivers. It's connecting with people like Dr. Renata Jones, who has gone about bridging the connection between those who are interested in research and the communities that they desire to do it. And so it's important that we recognize that it's not a lack of will, but a lack of proximity and imagination. Trials are designed without a cultural context. Engagement happens after decisions are made. And communities are asked to trust institutions that have never first trusted them. And so we find ourselves at a critical point today. Will we continue the paths that have not served the interest of people? Or are we willing to begin transformation by moving closer, by becoming neighbors, by allowing true engagement to precede recruitment, and by partnering with communities to co-design services that are studies that are meant to serve them? Barriers to participation that we talk about often they're not mysteries. They're not mysterious. They're actually measurable, predictable, and fixable. They persist because we treat them as inconveniences rather than injustices. Too few studies actually honor the realities of daily life of aging Black people, such as limited access to broadband, rigid eligibility criteria, study locations that are miles away from where they live. And I'll leave you with this. Until research becomes truly accessible by design, it will continue to exclude by default. And so I thank you for the opportunity to share with you. I certainly hope that there are a few minutes left for questions. And so, Taylor, I will ask you to direct us as it relates to any question and answers. Mia, thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. I was just taking so many notes because I was texting with some colleagues. We're going to start using that 4 visits as a guideline, right? For
Yeah.
engaging with churches. And it's a smart thing to do because it truly does show the commitment. So many nuggets that I'm taking back. Dr. McGee Rogers, what about you?
I'm just in awe right here. I'm just like, oh my goodness. It was wonderful. If I could cue the applause, I would, but awesome
Thank
job.
you.
Awesome job.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. I think we want to open it up to questions if you have a few minutes, Mr.
I
Jetson.
do.
Okay.
I,
Mhm. If you have a question, please use the chat feature or the Q&A feature. And I know we've had some great discussion, but oh my goodness, this is a way to end a conference. I tell you, it's just wow. Okay. All right. We have Renarda, I think. She has a question. Dr. Jones, Dr. Renarda Jones, go right ahead. I don't know if you can come off mute. I think you were coming off mute. Or if you have the question. Okay, you have been, yep, you can. Oh, accident. Okay, no problem. I think you were probably just raising your hand like, hey, this was good. You're agreeing with it. No problem. Any questions at all? Give you a few minutes. I do have a question for you, Mr. Jetson.
yes,
That's
ma'am.
okay. I know you spoke about this, but how can you just give us another or just some ways, some effective ways that our sites, even GAP staff, how can we effectively engage with the aging Black community? Are there some, and tactics that
Yeah,
we should think about, as we're out in the space, boots on the ground, trying to, and I know you gave it, because like you said, that 4 visits, I love that with churches. Is there any other, tactics or strategies we should think about?
yeah, and so first of all, I can see that you have been hanging with Mia Chester and calling me Pastor Jetson. Raymond is fine. I've not been a
Okay.
pastor since
Okay.
2018,
Okay.
but that's the Mia Chester
That is,
effect
she's rubbing
here.
off on me.
So
Yes.
yes, she is. But
Admittedly,
so I think, yeah. So if I were to say one additional thing, it would be, and this does not just apply to clinical trials and research, but generally, my observation is that the aging ecosystem engages people in a very siloed fashion. And
mhm.
so we show up with blinders on as if the thing that I am doing is the only thing relative to this person's life. And the reality is, the people we engage are whole people, and they are parts of villages and communities and families. And I would encourage people to start thinking in that context. I write, well, first of all, I'll say that, there are three pillars that undergird aging while Black. The first is recalibrate the village. The second is embracing innovation and rapid change. The third is leaning into Sankofa, this wisdom of the elder. But this recalibrate the village, I write extensively, I talk extensively about the importance of building villages around people as they age. And that is chiefly a family responsibility, or those in closest proximity with the older adult. But it is helpful when those who enter that ecosystem see themselves as a part of a village impacting this person's life and not the only thing that's happening.
That's great. Thank you so much, Mr. Jetson.
Yeah, I was just
Thank
gonna
you.
speak to, so one of our on one of our panels, and it might have been mine, we had someone speak to community advisory boards. And I think, just from the on the heels of your keynote, I think elders have so much to contribute, and they are perfect for community advisory boards where they are not only at the table, but they're represented. They talk about what works and doesn't work. And so I think, if anything, we want you all to be encouraged to start thinking about, is that something that your research site or community can begin to develop, and how elders can be at the center of that, especially if that is the population we are trying to reach or connect with. So love that you talk about elders and the village, right? Because if that elder has a village, then the messaging of research, when it is appropriately shared and shared in a way that is meaningful, will be shared with that entire village. So it's kind of a full circle moment there.
It is a very full circle moment. There are a couple of things that I would add. First is, it's really important that we not tokenize older adults. And
Mhm,
so that we don't bring somebody in and sit them at a table and declare that they have a seat at the table, but they really have no voice.
mhm,
And they are not. I believe that the most effective advisory groups and even boards of directors will include older adults through my narrow lens, older
mhm,
Black adults, not only as participants, but in positions of leadership. There
mhm,
are that with this increase in aging, there is a huge sea change in the number of accomplished, experienced, talented older adults showing up in our communities. They need to be in leadership positions. The other part of it is, the bold step is to actually engage people in co-designing your
mhm.
studies to make certain that they are part of it. And what you gain in that process is not only a broader perspective in your approach to your research and your learning, you also gain trusted voices who can
Mm,
now speak to others on behalf of this work.
yeah, beautifully said.
That's great. That's awesome. We do have a few questions.
Yeah.
And we'll just take those two if you're okay, or if you're okay to take the two questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The first one, do you require that they participate in an event that is organized by the congregation or provide education for those 4 events?
No. For the 4 visits, they are simply sitting
For a
and
visit.
observing.
Okay.
They are seeing who we are. They are understanding our culture. And so if you sit for 4 visits, you're coming there, you want to do recruitment for a clinical trial. If you come for 4 visits, when I was pastor, on at least 2 of those visits, you would discover that we have a really robust health ministry. Uh, we at one point we had 3 primary care, a pediatrician, and 17 nurses who were part of our congregation. And so there was a really robust healthcare infrastructure. On 2 Sundays out of every month, we kept a track of people's blood pressure. We did counseling. We checked weight. We talked to people about diet. And so, you know, don't come into our congregation and set up something that totally ignores the infrastructure that is in place. Because if you take the time to build relationship with these 17 nurses, they could probably tell you who the 10 people are who are the most likely recruits for your clinical trial. But that comes through relationship. And so those 4 visits, you can't do anything but visit. And then after that, we will connect you with the infrastructure that is within our ministry that is most appropriate for what it is that you want to do.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great. And the other question that we have from Dr. Jones is, we often are going to the church community to engage with Black older adults. Where else can we find them and engage with them? I'm sure that there are plenty that might not be in the church community.
So yes, and thank you so much, Dr. Jones, for that question. As you've heard me say, it is so important that we understand when we talk about recalibrate the village, there are a couple of assertions and assumptions there. The first is the infrastructure that supports Black life is ill-equipped for the dramatic change in aging that's already happened. And so we need to, part of the conversation, one of the questions earlier today was about the Divine Nine. The Divine Nine is not ready for the aging that has already begun to happen in its bonds. And so, churches, civic organizations, the links, they're not prepared for the realities of aging. And so we have to be really, really mindful of that. The second is the village of my childhood is not the village as I approach my 70th birthday. And we have to rethink what the village is. There was a time that if you wanted a portal into Black life and the Black community, you went to the church. That's not true today. Is there a segment of the Black community who remain actively engaged in church? Yes. And if you are interested in older adults, it's still an ideal place to go. Because if there's one demographic that hasn't abandoned organized religion, it's older adults, Black older adults, and especially Black older women. So if that's a group that's important, the church is still a really good place to go. Larger churches have more diverse and broad, but thinking very differently. If you want to reach men, go to the barbershop. Find the local links group and talk to them. Talk to Greek letter organizations, civic organizations, Masonic lodges, neighborhood associations, community centers that are in neighborhoods. We talk about meeting people where they are. Go to where people are already going, and it's a lot easier to engage them.
Thank you so much for that reminder. You're right. We got to go to where they're at and engage with them. Yeah, thank you so much. Raymond, I want to call you. I know. I'm like, you see, it's like, it's hard for me. It's hard.
Man, it's just, boy, you're just struggling. Your mouth is twisting, and it's like you have to pull it out.
I know, it's like I got to pull it out, but no, this has been great. And I think that's all of the questions that we had, but wow, Mia, I don't know if I know we're going to have this recording available to those who want to view it again and for those who missed it, but this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
And I'll just say, I really want you all to I want to encourage you all to visit Raymond A. Jetson's website. I put it in the chat. Again, there's a lot of information on there, contact information on there as well. And then, as I said in my intro, he's put out a fabulous new book. So if you are interested in just kind of learning more, continuing this conversation, that book is a great resource for you. And obviously, we want to kind of expand our work with what we do with Mr. Jetson. So we really do thank you for being here today and sharing with us. I'll say that a lot of our research sites really do lean in on faith communities, but engaging with them is challenging. So we appreciate that insight that you gave regarding that as well. So hopefully they leave encouraged with that information. But I want to make sure you get on that flight. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah.
And we will be in touch with you soon. So thanks, Reverend.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson.
You guys be well.
All
Thank
right,
you.
you
Thank you
too.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Okay, wow. We warned you that this would be a great 4 hours of discussion and sharing and conversation, and we've learned so much today. I didn't know if we wanted, if there are any other questions that you all may have, please reach out, contact us. Some of the panelists had to leave to catch flights, but we will definitely share any questions or feedback that you have with them. But what are some of your takeaways? I would say, Mia, not to put you on the spot, but what are some of your takeaways from the day?
Well, I think there was a lot that we learned today. I think one of the takeaways is that, from our leader John kind of stating that we will be steadfast in this space, and also just knowing that from the different perspectives, everyone is experiencing, what's going on differently, but everyone still has that same goal and mission in mind to be inclusive in the work that they're doing and just maybe pivoting or shifting. So I think one of my major takeaways would just to be encouraged by the work that we're doing and be thoughtful, right? There are many different avenues, and some of our traditional tactics for recruitment may not work now just because of the environment we're in. So, from working directly with some of the organizations that the panelists represented today, those may be avenues, as well as the MRU to HBCU. So I think my thing is just to be encouraged and stick with what we're doing as we are on the right path.
Thank you, Mia. Yes, I agree with you. And I think too, what resonated with me today is just that important word community, how important it is, and not to take it for granted, especially the times that we're facing right now. Just remember, the challenges that your study participants may be facing, family and friends, and just the value of community and just being there for others and continuing the work that we do in this space, because it's so important that we continue to make sure that diverse communities are well represented in clinical trials across all clinical trials and specifically neurodegenerative trials. So we thank you all. It's been great.
And I'll say the last thing
Yeah.
is we want to hear from you all as
Oh, yeah.
well. So over the next couple of days, we will be sending out a survey so that you can provide us with feedback. And we want to be thoughtful about the content and experts we bring on in the years to come. So your feedback will be very important to us as we continue to bring you a virtual conference that resonates with you and as well as your goals and your organization's goals. So be on the lookout for that survey.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you all. And we'll give you a few minutes back because I know we were trying to wrap it up at 4:15, but we again appreciate your time today. So thank you all. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye-bye.